1969 wasn't just another year. It was a revolution in live music. From legendary festivals to jaw-dropping performances, this was the year that changed rock history forever. Some of these shows became the stuff of myth, while others redefined what it meant to experience music live. Get ready to relive the electrifying moments that left audiences speechless and shaped rock and roll as we know it. Number 1. Woodstock Music and Art Fair, August 15th through 18th, 1969.
You got to change your evil ways, baby.
No true music lover can forget the historic event of the Woodstock Music and Art Fair. The timeless rock concert was a pivotal cultural event held on Max Yasgur's dairy farm in Bethel, New York, and became a defining moment for the 1960s counterculture movement. Billed as an Aquarian exposition, 3 days of peace and music, it attracted an estimated 460 to 500,000 attendees, despite initial projections of just 50,000, which overwhelmed both the organizers and local authorities. From the onset, the festival faced significant hurdles, including venue disputes, inclement weather, and infrastructure shortages like food and sanitation facilities. Interestingly, the show was originally planned for Woodstock, New York, but was relocated to Yasgur's farm after opposition in Wallkill and Saugerties. Despite these challenges, the event still passed on a message of unity and peace, resonating with a generation that was already divided by the Vietnam War and civil rights tensions. The lineup featured 32 acts, including Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, The Who, Santana, and Jefferson Airplane. Hendrix's iconic rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner remains a landmark moment in rock history. Woodstock's influence extended beyond the event itself. It inspired anniversary festivals and was immortalized in a 1970 documentary and soundtrack. In 2004, Rolling Stone ranked it at number 19 on its list of 50 moments that changed the history of rock and roll, cementing its legacy as a cultural touchstone. The site was also added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2017. Number 2. The Altamont Speedway Free Festival, held on December 6, 1969.
Get on down. Get on down.
The Altamont Speedway Free Festival, held on December 6, 1969 at the Altamont Speedway near Tracy, California, was intended to be the West Coast's answer to Woodstock. Organized by the Rolling Stones and others, the free concert drew approximately 300,000 attendees, but is remembered for its tragic and chaotic turn of events, which, to many, symbolized the end of the 1960s peace and love era. The festival was headlined with performances from Santana, Jefferson Airplane, the Flying Burrito Brothers, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and the Rolling Stones. Unfortunately, the event was marred by significant violence, including the fatal stabbing of Meredith Hunter, an 18-year-old attendee. Hunter was killed by members of Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, who had been controversially hired as security. In addition to Hunter's death, there were 3 accidental fatalities, 2 from a hit-and-run car accident and 1 drowning in an irrigation canal. Similar to the Woodstock saga, the Altamont Speedway was chosen as a last-minute venue after plans to hold the concert at Golden Gate Park fell through due to logistical issues. The lack of preparation and supervision contributed to the chaotic atmosphere. Jefferson Airplane's Grace Slick later described the day as hazy, abrasive, and unsure, contrasting sharply with Woodstock's communal spirit. Still today, Altamont is often referred to as rock and roll's all-time worst day, marking a grim turning point for the counterculture movement. The event was documented in the 1970 film Gimme Shelter by Albert and David Maysles. It remained a cautionary tale about poor planning and the dangers of mixing music festivals with unregulated security forces. Number 3. Toronto Rock and Roll Revival, September 13th, 1969.
Come on, give me fever. Put your
The Toronto Rock and Roll Revival, held on September 13, 1969 at Varsity Stadium, University of Toronto, was a pivotal one-day festival blending rock and roll pioneers with emerging acts. Dubbed the second most important event in rock and roll history, it remains significant for its surprise performance by John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band, marking Lennon's first public appearance outside the Beatles. Rock legends like Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, Bo Diddley, and Gene Vincent ensured that this event was permanently etched in the memory of all who witnessed it. But it was Lennon's last-minute addition, performing with Eric Clapton, Klaus Voormann, and Alan White, that stole the show. The 4 singers delivered a raw set that included Cold Turkey and Give Peace a Chance under the name the Plastic Ono Band. Lennon was initially invited as the festival's master of ceremonies, but proposed performing instead. With only hours to assemble a band, he recruited Clapton, Voorman, and White, rehearsing briefly on the flight to Toronto. The audience of over 20,000 people was unaware of Lennon's participation until the event began, leading to a last-minute ticket surge after rumors spread via Detroit radio. Owing to its huge success at the concert, the Plastic Ono Band's set was released as the live album Live Peace in Toronto in 1969. While the festival's mix of nostalgia and innovation drew praise, its historical impact lies in Lennon's bold departure from the Beatles' shadow, signaling the beginning of his solo career. Number 4. The Beatles' Rooftop Concert, January 30th, 1969. In a spontaneous act, the Beatles performed an unannounced concert on the rooftop of their Apple Corps headquarters in London. This impromptu gig became their final public performance, featuring tracks like Get Back and Don't Let Me Down, capturing the essence of their musical journey. Filmed for the Let It Be documentary, the concert's legacy transcended its brevity. It became a symbol of the Beatles' resilience amid internal strife and their ability to channel discord into art. The footage later expanded in the 2021 series The Beatles Get Back, revealed the band's camaraderie and creative friction, cementing the rooftop gig as a cultural touchstone. Artists like U2 and James have replicated the rooftop setup, while parodies in Monty Python and The Simpsons underscore its iconic status. The concert's raw, unscripted energy was a mix of rebellion and vulnerability, highlighting the Beatles' enduring influence, a final bow that continues to inspire generations. Number 5. Janis Joplin at Curtis Hixon Hall, November 16, 1969. This was another event that went down in history as memorable, not just for the beauty of the performance, but also its aftermath. Janis Joplin's performance at Curtis Hixon Hall in Tampa, Florida became infamous when she was arrested for vulgar and indecent language during a confrontation with police attempting to manage the crowd. The incident stood out as a rebellious icon of rock's counterculture era. Joplin's set, which followed opener B.B. King, drew a crowd of more than 3,500 attendees. As she took the stage to perform, fans rushed the stage and aisles, prompting police to intervene to enforce safety protocols. But this didn't sit well with Joplin, and she immediately took to defending her audience. Offended by her statements, the police officers waited until she finished her performance before arresting her in her dressing room post-show. Joplin was later charged with 2 counts of indecent language and was found guilty in absentia after skipping her March 1970 trial. The rock singer was fined $200 in court costs. Yet, the event reinforced her image as an unapologetic, boundary-pushing artist. Curtis Hixon Hall thus became a footnote in Joplin's story, symbolizing her defiance against authority. Number 6. Newport 69 Festival, June 20th through 22nd, 1969. The Newport Pop Festival in Devonshire Downs in Northridge, California was a significant music event that drew approximately 200,000 fans. This 3-day festival featured an impressive lineup of rock, folk, and blues artists, including Jimi Hendrix as the headline act. Hendrix's performance at this festival was notable for its ups and downs. On the opening night, Friday, June 20th, Hendrix delivered a subpar performance, reportedly due to an LSD-laced drink. However, demonstrating his dedication to his craft and fans, Hendrix returned to the stage on Sunday, June 22nd for a remarkable comeback. During his Sunday performance, Hendrix jammed with other musicians including Eric Burdon, Buddy Miles, Tracy Nelson, and Mother Earth. This impromptu jam session lasted more than 2 hours and became the highlight of the festival. The Los Angeles Times critic Pete Johnson wrote that the audience may have heard the best performance of their lives. The festival featured other prominent acts such as Creedence Clearwater Revival, Joe Cocker, Jethro Tull, Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, Ike and Tina Turner, and Three Dog Night. This event, though often overshadowed by Woodstock, remains a significant moment in rock history, particularly for Jimi Hendrix's memorable performance. Number 7. The Doors at the Dinner Key Auditorium, March 1st, 1969. The Doors concert at the Dinner Key Auditorium was one of the most infamous events in rock history, largely due to the erratic and provocative behavior of frontman Jim Morrison. The entire show was chaotic from the planning to the execution. It was held in a converted seaplane hangar without air conditioning and was attended by approximately 12,000 fans, far exceeding the venue's capacity of 7,000. Promoters had removed the seating to sell additional tickets, creating a chaotic and overcrowded environment. Morrison arrived over an hour late, having missed early flights and spent much of the day drinking. When he finally appeared on stage, he was visibly intoxicated and began engaging in confrontational behavior inspired by a recent experience with the experimental theater group The Living Theater. Morrison taunted the audience with alternating messages of love and disdain, while his erratic performance included long silences and interruptions that strained the band's music. The most controversial moment came when Morrison allegedly exposed himself to the crowd. While some eyewitnesses claimed he did so, others, including band members, denied that this act occurred. Regardless, Morrison's antics combined with his encouragement for the audience to strip and his confrontational demeanor led to a further breakdown of sanity at the venue. The performance ended abruptly with Morrison being physically removed from the stage by a local promoter's associate. The fallout from this concert wasn't far-fetched. 3 days later, warrants were issued for Morrison's arrest on charges of lewd and lascivious behavior, including indecent exposure and public profanity. These charges sparked national controversy and led to over 17 concert cancellations for the Doors, as they were effectively blacklisted by many promoters. Morrison was eventually convicted of indecent exposure in September 1970, receiving a 6-month jail sentence and a $500 fine, though he remained free on appeal until his death in July 1971. The Miami incident marked a turning point for the Doors, contributing to their decline as a touring band while cementing Morrison's reputation as one of rock's most controversial figures. Despite its negative consequences, the event has since become an enduring part of rock mythology, reflecting both the excesses of the era and its cultural tensions. Number 8. Blind Faith's debut at Hyde Park, June 7, 1969. Blind Faith's debut performance at London's Hyde Park on June 7, 1969 was another landmark event in rock history, drawing over 100,000 fans to witness the first live outing of this short-lived supergroup. Formed by Eric Clapton, Steve Winwood, Ginger Baker, and Rick Gretsch, the band's lineup promised a fusion of blues, rock, and soul, blending the talents of former members of Cream, Traffic, and Family. The free concert, held on a sunny day in Hyde Park, was a cultural spectacle. Standing within the crowd were countercultural icons like Mick Jagger, Marianne Faithfull, and Traffic's Jim Capaldi and Chris Wood, all eager to see the band's inaugural show. Blind Faith's setlist featured tracks from their yet-to-be-released self-titled album, including Can't Find My Way Home, Presence of the Lord, and Had to Cry Today, alongside covers like the Rolling Stones' Under My Thumb and Traffic's Means to an End. Yet, despite the anticipation, the performance was marked by intense tension. Clapton reportedly maintained a visibly nervous attitude, while Baker provided the only overt showmanship. His drumming theatrics contrasted with the band's otherwise subdued stage presence. Winwood later described the gig as daunting, noting the band's lack of rehearsal time left them unprepared for the massive audience. However, the event's significance transcended its technical shortcomings. It marked the first major outdoor rock concert in London, which set a precedent for future festivals like the Rolling Stones' Hyde Park show weeks later. The band's raw music showcased their innovative blend of rock and blues with tracks like Presence of the Lord and Sea of Joy, foreshadowing their studio work. Notably, the event exposed the insane pressures of being a supergroup. Blind Faith's formation had generated immense hype, but their rushed touring schedule and lack of cohesion led to internal friction. After a brief 1969 tour of Scandinavia and the US, the band dissolved, leaving behind a single studio album and a legacy as one of rock's most fleeting yet influential collaborations. Number 9. The Tommy Tour, 1969 through 1970. The Who's Tommy Tour took the world by storm after the rock band The Who transformed their groundbreaking rock opera into a live spectacle that redefined the boundaries of concert performances. The tour began on March 9, 1969, and spanned 6 legs across North America and Europe, culminating on December 20, 1970. Its centerpiece was the Tommy album, a conceptual narrative about a deaf, dumb, and blind boy who becomes a messianic figure through pinball mastery. The Who's live renditions brought this story to life with theatrical intensity, blending Pete Townshend's intricate guitar work, Roger Daltrey's raw vocals, John Entwistle's thunderous bass lines, and Keith Moon's explosive drumming. The tour's momentum was fueled by its debut performance at a free concert in London's Hyde Park on June 7, 1969. Over 100,000 fans gathered to witness the band's first full-length staging of Tommy, which included most of the album's tracks alongside other hits like My Generation. The event drew a mix of counterculture icons and fellow musicians, including Mick Jagger and Marianne Faithfull, as well as Steve Winwood and Chris Wood of Traffic. While the outdoor setting posed technical challenges, the band's energy and the crowd's enthusiasm turned the show into a defining moment of the era. In 1970, the tour expanded into European opera houses, a bold move that bridged rock and classical music. The tour also yielded Live at Leeds, one of rock's most iconic live albums. Though it omitted Tommy's full narrative, it highlighted their ability to balance theatricality with unbridled rock and roll. Throughout the tour, The Who faced logistical hurdles, including inconsistent sound systems and grueling schedules, but their performances remained electrifying. By blending Tommy's conceptual ambition with their trademark intensity, the band solidified their status as one of rock's most dynamic live acts. Number 10. Santana at the Texas International Pop Festival, August 30th through September 1st, '69. Santana's fusion of Latin rhythms, jazz, and rock electrified the crowd of 120,000 attendees at the Texas International Pop Festival, held at Dallas International Motor Speedway in Lewisville, Texas, reinforcing their reputation as a dynamic new force in rock music. The band's performance significantly increased their popularity, following their breakthrough at Woodstock just weeks earlier. At the festival, Santana delivered a setlist reflecting their early sound, blending original compositions with covers. Their performances likely included tracks like Evil Ways and Soul Sacrifice, which had already gained traction after its Woodstock debut. These songs showcased the band's signature blend of Carlos Santana's soaring guitar, Greg Rowley's soulful vocals, and the rhythmic interplay of congas, timbales, and drums, which captivated audiences seeking something fresh amid the psychedelic and blues rock dominance of the era. The Texas Festival provided a platform for Santana to build momentum. Co-produced by Angus Wynn and Alex Cooley, organizers of the Atlanta International Pop Festival, the event featured a diverse lineup, including Led Zeppelin, Sly and the Family Stone, and Janis Joplin, yet Santana's unique sound stood out. Their performance underscored their ability to transcend genre boundaries, merging Latin percussion with rock's raw energy, a formula that would propel them to mainstream success in the years to come. While the festival faced logistical challenges, including sweltering heat which caused one attendee to die of heat stroke, and the controversy over nude bathing in Lewisville Lake, Santana's set remained a highlight, reflecting the band's growing confidence and artistry. Their appearance at the Texas International Pop Festival solidified their place among the era's most innovative acts, bridging the gap between Woodstock's legacy and their future as rock icons. Number 11. Sly and the Family Stone at Harlem Cultural Festival, summer 1969. The Harlem Cultural Festival, often referred to as Black Woodstock, was a 6-week-long series of concerts held at Mount Morris Park in New York City. Among the many acts that graced the stage, Sly and the Family Stone delivered one of the most electrifying performances. The band's June 29, 1969 set introduced the world of rock to their innovative fusion of funk, soul, and rock. Despite initial skepticism from the crowd who were unfamiliar with their genre-blurring sound, Sly and the Family Stone won over the audience with hits like Everyday People, Dance to the Music, and I Wanna Take You Higher. Their performance, captured in leaked footage, showed the band's perseverance. Drummer Greg Errico played through illness, and the crowd initially stood motionless during songs like Milady and Sing a Simple Song. However, by the time they launched into Everyday People and Dance to the Music, the audience erupted into dance, embracing the band's infectious energy. The Harlem Cultural Festival itself was a landmark event, organized by Tony Lawrence and supported by New York Mayor John Lindsay. It served as a cultural counterpoint to Woodstock, emphasizing Black musical heritage and resilience in the wake of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. The festival's programming reflected its duality, blending mainstream hits like The Fifth Dimension's Aquarius with socially conscious performances, such as Mahalia Jackson and Mavis Staples' rendition of Precious Lord Take My Hand, a song cherished by King. Sly and the Family Stone's set broadened the festival's themes of unity and celebration. Their music, particularly Everyday People, aligned with the era's calls for racial equality and cultural pride. The band's ability to transcend genre boundaries and ignite the crowd supported the festival's mission to uplift Black artistry, while challenging stereotypes about Black gatherings being inherently violent. The Harlem Cultural Festival's legacy has resurfaced in recent years, notably through the 2021 documentary Summer of Soul. Sly and the Family Stone's performance remains a highlight of the event, showcasing their role as pioneers of funk and their enduring influence on black music. Number 12. Big Rock Pow-Wow, May 23rd through 25th, 1969. The Big Rock Pow-Wow was held on the Hollywood Seminole Indian Reservation in West Hollywood, Florida. The 3-day event carved its niche as a countercultural celebration that blended psychedelic rock music with Seminole traditions. The festival's lineup featured iconic acts like the Grateful Dead, Johnny Winter, Muddy Waters, the Youngbloods, Sweetwater, and Joe South, alongside lesser-known but influential bands such as NRBQ and Rhinoceros. Timothy Leary, the counterculture figurehead, addressed the crowd during the Saturday night concert, amplifying the event's rebellious spirit. The Grateful Dead's performances were particularly memorable. Their sets from May 23rd and 24th were later immortalized in the live album Road Trips Volume 4. Number 1. Big Rock Pow-Wow 69. These recordings captured the band's signature improvisational style, with jams like Dark Star, moving into St. Stephen and the 11 on the first night, and Death Don't Have No Mercy on the second. These tracks exemplified the Dead's experimental nature in their era, marked by extended freeform music. The festival's setting on tribal land added a layer of cultural depth. Unlike mainstream events, it avoided police interference, fostering an atmosphere of freedom where attendees could openly embrace counterculture practices, including drug use, notably Orange Sunshine LSD. Seminole dancers and artisans shared their traditions, creating a unique interplay between rock music and indigenous heritage. The Big Rock Pow-Wow stood out for its organic blend of music, activism, and cultural exchange, leaving a lasting imprint on the era's musical and social landscape. It remains a fascinating memorial of 1969's musical history and proof of the era's creativity and its willingness to challenge boundaries through art and cultural collaboration. Number 13. Miami Rock Festival, December 27th through 29th.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it.
Closing out the decade with a 3-day blowout was the Miami Rock Festival, held at the Miami Hollywood Speedway in Pembroke Pines, Florida. It served as a fitting finale to the decade's festival circuit. The lineup blended established acts like Joni Mitchell, B.B. King, The Band, Chuck Berry, Grateful Dead, Fleetwood Mac, Santana, Procol Harum, and Canned Heat with rising stars such as Sweetwater and Vanilla Fudge. Johnny Winter delivered a standout performance while Motherlode and the Amboy Dukes added to the blues rock fervor. The event drew thousands of attendees determined to celebrate the decade's rebellious spirit, many attempting to bypass ticket fees. The festival's atmosphere was far from serene. Police enforced strict security, conducting searches and making 47 arrests, while a tragic accident occurred where a young man fell from a spotlight tower. The Miami Rock Festival's vibe was everything but relaxed. It rather mirrored the era's volatility. For instance, Billy Graham's appearance, urging attendees to turn on to God, clashed severely with the event's hedonistic undertones, while logistical challenges and a low-budget stage setup emphasized the improvisational nature of late 60s festivals. Despite these tensions, the event kept to the decade's unbridled creativity, closing out 1969 with a defiant mix of music, rebellion, and communal chaos. But compared to some of the year's more chaotic events, Miami's festival offered a high-energy send-off to the 60s. With non-stop performances and an atmosphere of unfiltered rock revelry, it was the perfect way to bid farewell to one of the most iconic decades in music history. 1969 was more than just a year. It was a turning point for live music, proving that concerts could be more than entertainment. They could be history in the making. These legendary performances set the stage for generations to come. If you enjoyed this trip through rock history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our suggested videos for more deep dives into iconic music moments.